back, everybody. This video is one that I promised you in from my last video with the spark plug tester. Said I was doing a video on a project they have for my grandson for Christmas, and it's called Santa's Christmas Eve Night Train, and it's in two pieces. Is the train. It's engraved and it's got to be hand painted, and it formulates two compartments, one in the train and one slightly bigger in the tender, and it's just like the Christmas Eve boxes. What it does is it just gives you something that the child looks forward to. Get me Christmas Eve Santa train out, my night train, and I'm going to get some goodies in it off for Christmas. It's just tradition, really. I'm on with it now. The engraver's on with it, and this is just a basic first test cut to see what it goes like. I'll show you in a moment. I'll show you the screen and what it is and what it's going to turn out like. But it's actually engraving it's doing the engraving first, and it's some line cuts, but not through. They're just markings, and then it's a final pass where it cuts the shape out. Now it's on the first one, which is the engraving, and to be fair, it wants setting a lot faster than what it is, but it's doing a wonderful job at the moment. But this is time consuming. It's such a biggish piece, but I can speed that up. I can increase the actual cutting or the engraving power and the engraving speed. So if you increase the speed, you've got to increase the power if you want the same depth of engraving. It's all got to be hand painted, and fortunately my daughter's going to do that. It'd be interesting to see what it comes out like. It's progressing nicely. I'm using the Xtool D1. It's not the Pro, it's one of the first that came out, and to be fair, it does a fantastic job. I could have used the LC40 because I would get the same size on. Can't use the CO2 because it wouldn't do the size that I required, and that would have done it far quicker. The CO2, well, it's 40 watt CO2, so it does the engraving really quick. But what I'll do is I'm going to show you on the PC exactly what it is and what it's doing at the moment. Okay. Right, here we are at the PC. We're in Lightburn, and as you can see from here, this is what I'm actually cutting out. I'll show you on the machine in a moment what it's done so far. Now, all the blue is engraved, and it takes some doing, believe it or not. It looks simple, but it takes some doing because all the parts that are blue have to be closed if you want them engraving within. So yeah, it's systematically all the wheels to get it right, to get it to look right. It's time consuming, but it's there. Okay, so as you can see from up here, the first one is the fill, which is blue, and then the line, which all these are doing, is just put a line in around the wheels and in certain areas. Okay, then the final cut is it'll cut the window out, and it'll cut the top, and that's going to be separate, and then obviously around the wheels down here. You can see the power settings there. I've got the line cut 200 100% power. Now I have this is slightly just over, it's 3mm, it comes in as 3mm MDF, but obviously the material I'm using, but it's slightly over, so that might have to be slowed down to about 175 to do it in one pass. So we'll wait and see on that one. The line engrave is 2000 at 50% power, and the engraving is 1500 at 55%. Now I'm going to increase that to 2500 and take that up. So I increase one, I need to increase the other to get the same depth. Okay, I have it in my library for my material, which is MDF painted, so that's why I'm hoping it's going to do. And if you can see that there, engrave would be once I assign that, which is the 1555% power, and the cut is actually 200%. So you just assign them to the layer, to the colours that you require. Okay, I'll show you the actual engraving that it's doing. It is, as I say, slow. This needs to be speeded up a hell of a lot more, but it will still be effective, but it'll just cut the time down. And as you can see with the if I go back onto the laser, you can see with the time, it's been on 2 hours 13 minutes at the moment. I know it's a big piece, but as you will see in a moment, but for what it's done, for me it's far too slow. That I can halve that speed, but it is, and there's other ways of doing it. I can actually engrave, as opposed to going across areas that's not been engraved. I can have it set to engrave certain parts and it'll move around and do them, but I'm not going to bother with that. This is just a simple raster, so we'll just see how it goes from here. Right, here we are. Now you can see the piece engraving rather. Now that area is quite considerably large. I'll just take as you can see from that, I'm just taking the actual extraction hose away from it. You can see that's about, because I need the actual engraving to be pretty deep, because my daughter's painting inside that. If you don't have it deep enough, sometimes there's a bleed of the paint when you're painting inside, or you're painting on the top. And this is doing rather well at the moment, but you can see the shapes coming out there to what it is on the actual program. It will take its time, but at the end of the day, I'm in no rush. I need it to be done right. I need to know whether, when I lock the sections together, that the cutouts, which are in red there, as you can see, there, and there. I need to know that those cutouts are the right width and the right size in order to slot and lock in the end pieces. Okay, so I'll show you a bit more once I get further on in the job. As I've just shown you it engraving, I've shown you what the actual program or the drawing that I'm doing, the project on Lightburn. This is where the diode lasers that I have are only 10 watt. The LC40 is 10 watt, the Xtool D1 is 10 watt. They were the first that really came out. I've never had any issues with them whatsoever, only a faulty LC40 when it came. But they do what they say. I use the Xtool for rotary engraving, it works fine. But this is where, when you're doing such a large project, I suppose in a way 20 watt would be better, because I could up the speed and up the power. And yes, you do get a little bit of less fine detail in some parts, because obviously the laser spot is actually slightly bigger. Not much, but it's slightly bigger. So 20 watt would be great, because I could whip this out in no time. But I'm happy. You have to work with what you've got, and that's the point. And not everybody's got a 20 watt, but maybe a lot of people's got 10 watt. It's doing it, as I've just shown you. The pattern's pretty good at the moment, but this is only the initial one. I need to get this right, because once I've done the left side, which is what I'm doing now, and I shall do a front or a back, probably a front because it's a shorter one. I'll do the front and then see if they lock together. If they don't lock together, then I have to alter the actual drawing, because as I've just pointed out to you, some of the material that I've got, some are slightly bigger A3 sheets, some are actually 420 by, I think the last lot I got a 420 by 300, but I have some that I've purchased which are 400. They're still classed as A3 400 but 295, so there's a little bit of difference. And if you're working to a large scale, then that little bit of difference can make it, you know, it can either, you'll probably end up having to reduce your project in order to fit it in. But I can get it into what I want, the sizes I want. It is a project that's going to be time consuming because, as I say, it's hand painted. It's not just rolled on, it's the paint, it's all, every bit of it's got to be hand painted. I'm just hoping nobody else says, can you do me one? But it's there, it's doing a fantastic job at the moment. At the moment, the time, and it's probably got maybe, it's at 37% at the moment, and it's taken 2 hours 39 minutes, so it's relatively slow really, but it is what it is. Once I've started it, you can't stop it, we'll let it complete. So I reckon by the time it's finished, it's going to be a 5 hour job, thereabouts, probably a little bit 5.5 hour job, just for one side. Now, as I was explaining, once I've got this side and a front and it locks together right, it's just a simple case, and this has got my grandson's name on. It's just a case of mirroring it, that's it, flicking it over, and it'll work. The back and the front of the train are completely different. The front of the train and the bottom, there's a bottom in them, but the front of the train is slightly shallower. It's not as tall as the back part. The tender, the left and right sides are identical, so it doesn't matter which way around they go, and the front and back doesn't matter which way around they go. So we shall see, and the bottom doesn't matter which way around. And when you're doing a job like this, you definitely need extraction on. It's one of those projects, when it's lengthy, it's not doing a quick 2-minute job. You need some form of air extraction. As you can see, I just put mine, it's not fixed in any position, I can put it where I want, and it goes outside and it takes it away, and it's pretty good. It's only a ventilation fan for the bathroom, so it wasn't expensive, and you can set them up relatively easy. I use it on the LC40 because that sits on top of the D100. My CO2 has its own, it runs on the ceiling, does that. That's a bigger fan, is that. It is, as I say, with when you're burning materials, it gives off fumes, and you need to get rid of some of that. You can, I always say, if you can smell it, you're taking it in. And it's not too bad in here at the moment. If anybody's doing any projects for Christmas or Halloween or birthdays, let me know. It's just interesting. People do get back in touch with me. And you know, let me know what they're doing. One guy has just been back in touch with me on the videos that I did. If you want to watch them on the Imo Labs offline controller, the screen one, please watch that, and the air-cooled spindle that I got, the 800 watt VFD controlled, and the control box I did for it. Watch those videos, quite interesting. I don't recommend anything to anybody, I just show what I do. If people purchase things, it's purchasing them off their own back. I will not recommend. I once recommended something, well, a while back in one of my videos, and a guy purchased it and had a lot of problems with it, and he come back at me, he said, you recommended this. I said, I can't vouch for every one that's come out. Like I got the LC40 and it was faulty, so you know I had to repair that myself. I sorted that, but then the board failed, so I got a new board. But anyway, cut long story short, I don't recommend it. But this gentleman's been back in touch, and he asked me about the screen. He's ordered the 800 watt spindle and he's ordered the screen. The screen works absolutely fantastic. Does for me. Whether it works on anybody else's setup, I don't know. You know, as I say, I will not recommend anything. I'm just showing you what I actually use and how I do things. It might help people. I'm no expert on light burn. I can use light burn and I can use it to my advantage, but I'm no expert on it. I'm no expert on this fire that I use for my CNC work. It's not something that I can, you know, I use enough to become an expert on it. There are, you know, a lot of people out there on YouTube that are really good on all those drawing programs, you know, Fusion 360, and I have to go on sometimes to find out how to do things, and I watch a video and I normally can complete the task. Like this drawing here wasn't done on Lightburn. This drawing was done on Aspire. I did it on that, not Fusion, did it on Aspire, or you could use VCAR Pro. I did the drawing on that, then I saved them as a DWG file and a vector SVG, and then I imported that once I'd finished into Lightburn, and then I finalise what I want to do if I want to edit it a bit more, but the basic drawing is there, and that's how I've done it. So people might do it in Fusion 360 and pass it on straight to the laser. I don't know. I don't use that for any of me. I use Fusion mainly for my 3D printers. I do not use it for my CNC work or for my engraving. Here we are at 42% at 3 hours 9 minutes 28 seconds. Still going, still doing an accurate clean cut. I'll be back to you shortly. As you can see, it's still going, and the time now is, let's have a look, 4 hours at 31 minutes and so many seconds, 64% done. Now this is ridiculously slow, and I should have really tweaked it first, but it's one of them things. I'll sort the speeds out, make it quicker on the next run. You will see the transition shortly from the engraving, and it will move into the line marking mode, as I call it. There it goes. Now it's gone from the marking mode, the line marking mode, to the final cut. And all I do for the air is it's basically just hold the extraction hose near somewhere where you see. Sometimes you can see the smoke coming out from under the honeycomb, so you just put it there. But what it's doing first is it's actually cutting the slots out, which are for the other sections to clip into, like the bottom, the front and the side, or the back, sorry. This is cutting, it's 3mm MDF, and it's cutting at 100% power at 200 millimeters a minute. As I previously said, I have noticed that I've had 2 supplies of MDF, and each MDF supposed to be 3mm thick, and they vary from 2.9, 3.1, 3.3. So there is a big difference. So those slots have to be adjusted to whatever material that I am using. What you've got to remember as well is, when you're doing a large object like this, you think it would go in a systematic route sometimes when it's cutting these out and doing the line cut or the engraving. It will do it where it needs to do it. It will do it in an order that it's subject to the program, that's all. It's not that you've done anything wrong. Like it's moved from over here, it did these slots here and one there. There's one further up and there's one over here that it's just cut at the top, as you can see there. So it will go where it needs to go. See what I mean? It's now cutting the last slot out. So it's cut for previous ones, and it's cut the top one on the right, and now it's cutting the top one on the left. That's something that you really have no choice over as such. The program will decide where it goes next. And this is the accuracy of the machine. If you get an accurate one, then where it starts to join cutting again where it's already previously left off, it lines up, and you can tell if it lines up, then your machine's pretty accurate. You have to excuse if the extractor gets in the way sometimes. Most of the vapours or the smoke is normally when it's cutting. That's when it's most intense, so I tend to hold because it's only a line cut. It's not like long process of engraving. Now this will come down to the base of the stack and move over to the right and finish up where the actual cut left off here, and that's the accuracy of the machine. And this is one of the first Xtool D1s. You see it's coming round to that nose cone where it left off, and when it's cut you'll find out that it'll join up perfectly. Then it'll move across the left hand side and finish off there. There you go. Now you can see that in great detail, it's spot on. Now it's moving over to here and it'll finish off this side. Then the job is complete. There you are, job complete. I still keep the extractor running for a while afterwards. This just helps aid the removal of any particles that are in the atmosphere. As you can see, where the cut lines join up, it's absolutely spot on. What I do then is I've got a stiff bristle brush and then I rub all the engraved areas out. As you can see there, I've already tried it on this bit, and you take all the loose charring off at the top. So yeah, that's first left side complete. Right, here we are, the finished item. Now you can see it. It's pretty good, it's come out good. The slots are just fine. They've worked out pretty good as well. So yep. Should go into its line cutting mode now, or line marking mode. It's not cutting. That's the last job. It's just finishing off this engraving. That's all there is on this model now, and then this will go to line marking it. See the difference from this one to the others. This is all line marking now, whereas between those lines were engraved last time on the previous, and it's trial and error. I have a lot of pieces of this MDF, and it's just once I fine tune to what I want, then I'll do it. So what this enables you to do, if you wanted it all engraving, you could have it all engraved and just lightly sort of lacquer the surface to seal it, but this is so that you can paint. You have a guideline in order to paint to. We're going to see what this comes out like. As you saw in the previous one, it was engraved in a lot of this at the top. It always amazes me when you're watching it do something like this. It'll stop through a certain part and move across to something else, and you think, oh, has it missed it? No, it comes back to it. The software works it all out itself. Now it's gone on to its cutting. It's cutting the slots out for the base. This is for the base to slot into the bottom. Coming down to the end of the cutout, and then it's got to go over to the left side again and cut 2 slots out for the back. There we go, job complete. And as you can look at that now, you've got engraved here, engraved at the front on the nose of the tender of the engine. Then you've got the wheels done. This is engraved on the surface now, or line marking, what I call it, so that we can paint in between these, because these are very fine lines. And if, like the other one I did, I showed you, you can engrave into it and it's a good effect. But however, it's very difficult to paint inside without going on to this. I'm going to actually do one where I've sealed this first before I've actually done it. So there you go. This is the finished item now. On the side where it's going to be painted, it's now on with the, I'll show it in a moment, it's now on with the front of the machine. You can see that it's line engraving now. This is cutting the back of the train unit out now. I've done the front, of which I've shown you, and now it's cutting the back. There's no engraving on it, it's all line engraving and just to cut out. Here we have the front finished. and here we have the back, and you can see the cutouts here. This is where it slots into the sides of the train, and then obviously the bottoms go in there. Job finished now. There you go. And here we have the finished item now. As you can see, it all locks together. Just pick it up, it won't fall apart. It's quite sturdy. The ones you get normally similar to this is it's got its bottom in as well. All locks together. And the ones that you can purchase, like pressed cardboard, and now similar to this. They're not the same as this, but similar to this. But yeah, really pleased with it. I've still got some more alterations before I get to the final one, but that's the beauty about it. You can just alter it. But yeah, quite good. Welcome back everybody to this fine spring morning, 16 degrees in Yorkshire. I'm loving it. This is the second part to the video. You've seen the video, hoping you've watched it, on the train that I've done for Christmas. I will show you in this video, I've just finished, on the train one, I sealed all the MDF first with cellulose sanding sealer, so that when she applies the paint it doesn't soak in. And then I've done a test cover over after my daughter's done a sample paint, and it's absolutely fantastic what she's done. And I've put another coat of sanding sealer over the top, well it's satin, this one, to see if it reacts with the paint that she's using. It doesn't, and it seals it in. I'll show you that. But now, this video I'm on with the tender. Now this is to what my daughter expected it to be engraved at. She didn't want what I wanted, so obliged. It's for Theo, so I'm obliging with that. I've got the 360 cam up, and it's actually videoing the actual engraving that's going on. It does take the full area of the honeycomb, really. Just about. I can squeeze a bit more, but it's the pieces that I'm using. I've taken it really to its extreme. There's not much waste on this, on the tender, and the sides of the tender are actually the same either side. There's no difference. They're identical. The back and fronts, they're identical as well. The bottom, that has a marked front on it, but it's only from I left it on my personal opinion for when she puts it together. I've also, what I've used is, in fact, just give me a second. And I'll show you something, whether people know about or whether they do it, I don't know. But this is the sheets A4 MDF I use. They vary. This is 300 by 425, so it's pretty good, is that. These have had a light coating of sanding sealer on both sides. This is, it just gives it chance for when you actually are engraving, you get burn marks around the edges, and it wipes off a lot easier. That's all I've done it for. But I don't, you can see that's not bad for 3mm MDF, and as I've explained in the first video, it varies between 2.9 and 3.12. So if you're doing slots for these to go into, you've got to make sure that you're using the same material, otherwise it'll end up sloppy or won't fit. Now you can see I'm hoping you can see a slight curve on that. It's not much. Now people will just put it down, four corners touching. I don't work that way. I don't like that way, because when you put four corners down all touching, this is up in the middle, so you'll focus it there but it'll be out of focus here, and it's quite critical with a 10-watt laser. Well, it is with any diode laser or any laser for that matter of fact. So what I do is I flip it over. Now I like to flip it over because all the four corners are up in the air, but that centre part is down. So then what I do, I'll show you. is I've made some little hold downs. Now they go into the actual honeycomb and then you lock them over on each corner, and they're thin enough that even at focus for this, that actually clears it. Okay, you don't have to worry about it, it clears it. So yeah, vital, and that's how I work. It's everybody's cup of tea whether you choose to work like that or not, and you can see it on the video. I will show it, the four corners held down and it just skips over them. It's not in any cutting area, so I get away with that. But it's looking remarkably well at the moment. As I say, you do not know whether when you're using it and it's tethered that something doesn't go wrong. I mean, it has sent it to the machine, so I can mess around and get my next one up if I wanted to cut her back or the front. I could do. It sent it to the machine, so it's just working away. But however, the other day I came across something, and I don't know why it did it. I suppose the answer is I paused it, and I paused it 3 times. Rather, one was for about a couple of minutes while I put a hole down it on the corner, because it was relatively flat. But once you start cutting or engraving, it can alter the surface tension, and that's why materials, if you've got a worktop and you laminated one side, piece of MDF or chipboard or whatever, and you laminated one side, it will pull to that side, it will curl one way. So you normally put a backing on, and that keeps it straight. That's when you're veneering, you put a backer on. If you don't, it will curl. It will pull the surface. Okay, so that's what the problem was. Once I started cutting into it, it altered the surface, so it started. So I just put a couple of hold downs on, which sorted that. But I paused it. I had to, and then I thought, oh, wife's shouting me for my tea, and I daren't be late for my tea. But fortunately, I paused it. So I paused it, went upstairs for about half an hour, came back down, started it going again. It started going absolutely fine. But then all of a sudden it jumped. I heard a judder, and it jumped to the right hand side, and it started carrying on, but it was obviously way out of alignment. And I thought, I wonder what that is. I thought, I hope I haven't got anything wrong with the pulleys or the belts, or, you know, because when I first got this machine, on the X-axis stepper motor, the little grub screw that holds the gear wheel on for the belt had actually, there were one missing and one had come undone, so it skipped round and it weren't doing it right. So I got in touch with Xtool, and their answer was, and I did a video on it, I weren't really happy. They said, can't you get one and do it? No, I said the grub screws should have come with the machine, should have been 2 in. Anyway, reluctant, they sent me a packet, put them in, and it's been fine ever since. And I thought maybe that's coming slightly loose again, but it hadn't. I run it and it's run fine, so I put it down to the pausing. If you know any different, it's happened to you, put it in comments, because it'd be interesting to find that out. If when you pause it and you know, for half an hour while you have your tea and then come back, because I would not leave it running. I don't walk away from this and leave it running. I might nip to the loo, but I'm back down. Never ever on a laser just walk away from it. You're asking for bother. But yeah, so that's a little query. Please, if you've had it happen to you, let me know and see if you've found out the reason why, if it is the pausing or something else. But yeah, as you can see, and you will be getting it on the video above how well it's doing. It's done. I've just flicked it round this time. I've done the line engrave first, and just to see, and that's line engraved it, and then it's doing the engraving. Then it'll do the first cut, and then it'll do the second coat.
Right, here, as you can see, is the actual tender side. Change the lettering from Santa's Christmas Eve night train, which I wanted on, but my daughter wants this on, so I put this on. The blue is engraved just like the train, black are line engravings, the red is a cut. Okay, so you can see I've not much left, and it is taking up just about all the material, and that's because of the actual bumpers on the tender. That's what's there. There isn't any on the train. You can see I've swapped the line cut round first, but it's quite easy. You just click that, click on one that you want, click that, and it'll move it down in order. I just did it for a change. The settings are the same, 5,000 millimeters per minute at 55% power, and then the engrave is 4,500 millimeters a minute at 75% power. And then your first line cut's 300 millimeters a minute at 100%, and then the second one is 600. That just makes that final cut through. As I was explaining in the train video, you won't get any harder material to cut through than MDF, because I've got some MDF up their sheet, and it'll go through in one cut quite easily at 300, and in fact I could go at 400 and it'll cut through it. But yet this 2.9 and that other one's thicker at 3.2, and this one at 2.9 is so dense, and that's the resin that's in it that the compact it with holds it all together. It's so dense it takes some going through, and you run it at 200, which I can run plywood at 200, thickish 6mm ply, and it's okay, but you run MDF you'll get some awfully burnt edges. I mean, they crumble away, so I'd rather run quicker and more passes.
So far up to this process, it's 1 hour 25 minutes, which, as I said, you've just got to let it do it. It's coming to the end of the lettering, and then it'll do its first cut at 100% power, slower speed, and then the second cut at a faster speed. I will quick this up. I'll speed the video up, and then obviously you're not watching it all from start to finish at normal rate, otherwise you'd be sat in front of it for an hour. When it goes onto the cut, I will be holding the extraction hose near the cut. Going into its first cut now. You can always tell it's nearly through. These are cutting the slots out that lock all the components together, but you can see the smoke coming out from underneath the honeycomb panel, so it is nearly cutting through, but that might be in a part that's less dense. Doing the slots first, you can see the smoke coming out the side of the honeycomb, so that's telling me that it's cutting through. But the last thing you want to do is take it off thinking it's cut through. Well, in actual fact it hasn't. It'll leave parts attached, and then you've got to go around with a Stanley knife, and you better making that extra cut. I mean, some you do know on plywood it straight away it cuts straight through, but it's terrible is MDF. Sorry if the hose gets in the way, but the train part itself that I did is quite intricate. There's a lot more ins and outs in the cutting. It's a pretty standard outline to cut. Now you can see that the reflection from the base tray on the honeycomb panel, so it is cutting through at this, but I know there'll be parts on that that will be attached, and that's where you get unstuck. Hope I'm not blocking too much. It won't go when it cuts the second time. It'll pick its own path that it'll go. Sometimes it goes in reverse. See, that was the last one it cut. It's just going in reverse. And this is a lot quicker. This is double the speed. Just on its last couple of inch now, and then the job's done. There we go. Job complete. Take the clips away. Don't need turning off the wood, and you can see it's held in there because it's tight. They will poke out. And there we are, one finished tender side. This should be just cleaned down, blown, and then get all the residue out. I use a little wire brush, and then not a wire brush, it's a soft bristle brush. Get all the burnt parts out so it's lighter, and then it's ready for painting. This has been sealed, so yeah, job's a good one. On to another one. Right, I've just completed the tender. That's all fitted together, and the fit is pretty good. I'm really chuffed with it. And that is the train. Now that was a sample one. That train side there, my daughter's painted it. I think she used some paint pens of some sort. I don't know what, but I needed to know. It's like actually slightly unfinished at the top because I took it before she'd finished it, because it was only a sample one. I needed to know whether the paints that she's used would take a coat of sanding sealer on top just to seal it. and yeah, it's taken, this is one coat of, and it's sprayed on, of satin sanding sealer, cellulose, and it's taken it well. None of the paints have ran or have crazed with the cellulose based sanding sealer. The actual tender fits together lovely, and it's, you can see that from there. It's still the same engraving as what's on the side, except it's just smaller. We wanted the wheels a deep engrave on them, so it takes a bit longer. When I do any more, I'm doing a lighter engrave on them. I'm going to try that, and you can do it instead of 4,500 millimeters a minute, I can take it up to 6,000 and reduce the power to about 40%, and it does it a lot quicker. But for this particular one, I wanted it deep engraving, but I think it's come out really well. I'm chuffed to bits with it, and there's plenty of room inside. It all locks together, and what's more, it will work with the 3.1 and the 2.9 thickness MDF. I've made it that way, but yeah, it's pretty good. Chuffed to bits with it. And there we are now, finished items. As you can see on the train's got a front on it, but the compartment inside it is a little bit smaller than the tender. So on the back of the train is engraved. You can see all the lettering on. It's all to be painted up. I've had a request to do one for somebody, and they want to paint it themselves, so I'll just do that. But yeah, chuffed to bits with it, and it's as opposed to the Christmas Eve boxes. Well, that's the second part of the Santa's Express train for Christmas for my grandson. I've been asked to do some more for various people. Whether I do, I don't know yet. It's finished. I've shown you the pictures of it when it's been engraved and locked together. I've shown you the part of the train that she's had sort of experimental paint with, and that's come out very well. You could see that in the photos, and I've given that, as I said, one coat of cellulose satin sanding sealer, and it locks the paint in that she uses. It doesn't disrupt the surface of the paint or anything, doesn't make it go crazed, which sometimes it does, that the cellulose or cellulose based paint. But it's come out well. I'm over the moon with it. So that's a conclusion to this video, two-part. I didn't show you, I haven't videoed any of the back and fronts being engraved, because it's just basically just like the train in that respect. So, but I've done the sides, and I'm really chuffed in how it's turned out. It's taken a bit of time designing it and getting it right, because when they're interlocking like that, you've got to be especially careful that what you're doing is going to fit. The bottom's got to be locked in, the sides have got to be locked into the front and back, and it's got to be able to be taken apart easily in order to be stored away for the next Christmas, and it does. So I'm really pleased with that. I will, however, do a short video, it'll be only a brief one, on the actual tender and train unit when they're finished and painted. I'll take a bit of a video on that and show you that, because I'm sure after my daughter's had her hands on it, it'll look stunning. So yeah, keep tuned for that. Please watch out for the up and coming video on the S1 that I've treated myself to. Finally bit the bullet. It is what it is. I got an exceptional deal on it, I think anyway, and I've gone for the 20 watt. I'm not going for the 40 watt. I couldn't afford it, and I don't think I had any need for the 40 watt. The 20 watt, I'm used to a 10 watt and it's done what I wanted, but I wanted something enclosed. It's in a confined spaces, and I do have extractor, but you still do get the residue of the you know, vapours and what have you, especially when you're doing mugs and you're taking paint off. It needs to be enclosed, so that's the way I'm going now. Whether I get rid of the D1, I don't know. That has it rotary with it. This one comes with the new rotary, same rotary. We'll see whether I get rid of it or just keep it for doing small jobs or doing jobs along with the S1, so you can do a product quicker if you're doing multi-pieces. We'll see, don't know. So like and subscribe, doesn't cost anything, but it does help my channel. Subscribers have you know, I reached the milestone of 1,000, so I'm happy with that, but I'd like to see a few more and a few more viewing hours. So don't forget, thumbs up, look out for this S1 video. I will be putting one on. When it will be, I don't know. And as I say at the end of every video, you be careful, you be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Bye.